considered normal behavior within their societies across all of history. Two reasons that they do this: everyone loves familiar comfort, and to mark the outsiders. When someone does not conform to the standards of another group's ideals, they're immediately pegged as someone worth noticing, possibly correcting, definitely ostracizing. It's just in our collective genes to do this. It's also why the term alien dates back far before space travel. Alien means foreign, exotic, someone who has not yet been naturalized. Let's dive deeper into that last term there, specifically the core word it surrounds. Natural, determined by nature. Right, there's a grave tell in our language. We will not consider you one of us until you are exactly like us, down to your core beliefs. So, when someone comes along who has radically different ideas than the perceived norm, people could panic, lashing out violently against those professing lies against what their society holds true. Thankfully, there's a catch-all term to put people like this under a safe category: new. And when that one wears off, we default to crazy. Madness assumes that one's mind is not properly adjusted to deal with the situations that surround it. So if someone comes in and their thoughts of how the worlds work are so alien it makes no sense to us, we're going to label them as mad and lock them away with real crazy people. It's kind of insane that that's our first response, but there is one positive outcome from this extremely biased behavior. The movie K-PAX. 2001's continuing streak of Kevin Spacey awesomeness, this film focuses on an outsider with the ultimate removed perspective: extraterrestrial. The human-shaped alien is our lens, and through him we get to see what other sentient beings might say about us. It's hardly the first time this concept's been done in film, but it humanizes the protagonist by showing how he relates to us, and wants to help guide our efforts to become better versions of who we are. Now, one improvement I see already is the need to wear cool shades. Oh yeah. Let's see what else we can learn from K-PAX. Meet Prot, a huge fan of produce. He's the alien from the titular planet K-PAX, and don't worry, you'll never forget the planet's name.
K-PAX.
K-PAX?
Capital K, hyphen, capitals P-A-X.
Nor even how to spell it. In fact, there's a well-established drinking game connected with this movie. Every time someone says K-PAX, take a shot.
K-PAX.
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 K-PAX. K-PAX.
K-PAX.
This game's been banned in 30 states. While Prot may talk about his home planet at every opportunity, it doesn't come off as, well, my planet's better than yours. Instead, he's drawing a comparison to help illustrate the differences in cultural practices. He's like an anthropologist explaining through metaphor the drastic gap between two societies. And as the data clearly indicates, those consumers that purchased the smartphone slot machine application were much more protective of their purchase than those about the Technophoba drone security surveillance system. Yes, you with the damaged cat. Why is your whole lecture about weird products no one buys? I live my life by one mantra: write what you know. Next question. Now, if you were an alien life form wanting to make a covert entrance into a population, where would be the best place to do it? A New York train station. No one pays attention to crowds there. Well, except for the other outsiders. That's really what this whole story is about. A study of outliers. For instance, here's Howie, the obsessive-compulsive, then we have Ernie, the germaphobe, Sal, the smeller, and Andrew, the marshal. Yeah, it's another one about insane asylums. Must just be that time of year. Since Prot has no identification and is easygoing in the face of police, he's hauled off to be categorized. Is he dangerous, lost, or crazy? Checked in that order. When the first two are negative, it must be the third. He has to fit somewhere in the status quo. And it's amazing the lengths that the psychiatric professionals will go to convince themselves that Prot is a common mental case.
SS1 psychosis, NOS.
Well, how come he didn't respond to the Haldol?
Haldol can make you more psychotic. It's rare, but it does happen.
But you can't
He
go...
may be a good subject for the Betazyme protocol. The drug's on clinical trial here.
Want to experiment on him before we have a diagnosis?
Do you have some other idea?
Maybe what's wrong with him is that he is.
Is what?
From the planet K-PAX.
I've always liked Jeff Bridges, and this film is one more reason why. He plays Prot's main psychiatrist, and it's the perfect man for the job. Let's bring in our own well-read analyst to explain why. I'm not getting the door! DM?
Shh, busy. Hey, Socio, would you like to play a game?
Not with that invitation. I'm here to talk about someone.
Oh. It's that time of the month already? Alright, who?
Dr. Powell from K-PAX.
Ah! The constantly befuddled doctor. A man well versed in his field. Dr. Powell takes his world of expertise in stride. He knows the ins and outs of the human mind as described by his academic branch, understands the disturbed brain, and knows the exact methods for cracking into it. Then, along came Prote. Why does there always have to be a Prote?
What do you mean?
Under normal circumstances, the game master knows where, when, why, and how a party will do something. But then there's those guys. They take on a different role. One that looks into the dark corners not described, asks to change the game from within, then does so without breaking any rules. These players drive us nuts.
I see how they spoil your plan.
Spoil it? No. They ignore it. They don't even do anything with the plan. These trailblazers have their own way of solving the dilemma that surrounds the party. Ones that actively subvert the story's natural course. When our players do that, we react like this.
Quote, it's one thing to take an interest in your fellow patients. It's quite another to make them think that you can cure them. I'm a doctor, you're a patient.
Doctor, patient. Curious human distinction.
It's not your job to cure Howie, or Ernie, or Maria, or anyone else. It's mine.
Then why haven't you cured them yet?
Does it take the fun out of it? Or does it enrich the story?
You and your points. I swear, it's like Stockholm Syndrome after a while.
So, even though this player laughs at the norms and throws the book at the conventions, there is something unquantifiable about him, something unexplainable that even the staunch-minded DM like yourself can't help but admire.
You really do make it sound so easy to accept.
Prote shows how little we know about our own reality, and despite how much we study it, we may never be able to find out the entire truth.
Well, symbolically, yes, but in reality, aliens do not walk around in Kevin Spacey's body.
That theory might explain Frank Underwood's drive for power a little better. Maybe he's just prepping for an alien invasion.
I am not diving into that fan theory. Anyway. He's foaming at the mouth now. Fascinating.
So, Dr. Powell's obsession with figuring out Prote helps illustrate an important disconnect that occurs frequently. He's the expert in psychology who fails to apply what he preaches to his own life, as we find that his attention to work is widening the gap within his family. To be fair, there was already a gap there before he started over-focusing on Prote.
Maybe we should start paying you for your time. You got a family rate?
Oh, look, they published my letter.
I spoke with Natalie about going into the after-school program next year, in case I go back to teaching. And this morning my head fell off, but I was able to sew it back on with dental floss. Waxed, of course.
Dental floss? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Yeah, I know.
How could you ignore someone that adorably sarcastic? Astoundingly, this principle of not listening crosses over into the workplace as well.
Do you have a family on K-PAX?
It doesn't work on K-PAX the same way it works here, Mark. On K-PAX, we don't have families in the way that you think of them. In fact, family would be a non sequitur on our planet, as it would on most others.
Do you have a wife waiting back for you on K-PAX?
Mark.
Stop imposing your paradigm onto a culture to which it does not fit. Over the course of the film, Prote passively helps not only the other patients, but his caregiver to get through their issues. Never preaching. He's really unique. This alien presence that genuinely wants to be here to help us understand through educating, not proselytizing. Why haven't we seen more characters like this in other mediums?
And that, students, is the textbook definition of irony.
Ooh.
Back attack to back attack.
Yeah, behind the camera here. I thought that was how my water tasted.
No, Bacchus, that's because you won't pay the salt man.
Oh, right, sorry. Go on.
Now, if you'll turn your textbooks to page 34, we're going to see about how advanced gravity wells affect astral bodies.
The audience identifies early on that there is nothing terrestrial about Prote, right down to the way he eats his fruit. Someone should have taught him that a banana is not a potato. Every word, every gesture, everything about Prote screams alien observer. He just fully commits to the part. It's really astounding. No one would question that he obviously does not belong here. Yet, Dr. Powell persists in asking one question. Why is Prote here? He's certain there's a reason for everyone to be here and finds that it's the one point that Prote will not elaborate on. He claims that idle curiosity initially caused him to visit our planet, but something feels amiss. So points to the Doctor because he takes the initiative that no one else would do in this film. He explains how we can relate to Prote. Yes, it turns out even the disconnected observer initially came to our planet because of a connection to another person, someone who needed his help in a time of true turmoil. That's all I want to say without spoiling it, but it explains Prote's behavior perfectly. He came here to help someone through a difficult time without directly changing them. He claims that all beings have the ability to self-heal, that all creatures can find their way through crisis given the right guidance. He's not saying that they will, but they all have the capacity to take steps in the right direction. Through actions and care, Prote proves that there are ways to reach people aside from medication and therapy sessions. After all, actions are all we have with one another. The DVD case has a critic that boasts at the top keeps you guessing right to the end, as though this is some mystery with tons of big twists. And while there are twists in it, it's not the twists that matter, but the connections that slowly build and get stronger as the film goes. You'd have to try really hard to be confused by this. So in conclusion, why is it when you put peanut butter and honey together, it's not sticky? It's two sticky things you put together. Don't stick to the roof of your mouth. Not at all. It's kind of amazing. Oh yeah, you sex machine. What's your question? Man, you telling it like it is. I've always found that confusing. I know. I feel like I'm the only one that thinks that. Thanks for backing me up. Why does this movie fly so far beneath the radar? I suppose it does have a very lax pace for a film from this time period, but there's no need for it to rush. It's an exploration of human ideals as seen through the lens of an outsider, using him as the mirror by which to judge our own actions, though he himself never judges, just accepts and takes notes, with the occasional suggestion. That's what K-PAX offers to those that watch it, a memorable encounter with the ultimate stranger. It's like an unexpectedly good conversation on a bus. Not with someone who's trying to shout their opinions at you, but just a mutual exchange of experiences. A little of yours and a little of theirs. It's that no-pressure connection that makes you reflect on your own life. It's awesome. Definition of awesome. To inspire in a person a sense of awe, a heightened awareness of reality, to be overwhelmed by feeling at the sight of an object or person. K-PAX may slow play its hand, but take a stroll with it and you will find yourself experiencing a truly awesome movie. And it all comes from the perspective gained when an outsider enters an established community. It seems like there's a lot of potential there for observation and insight. I'm the other Socio, and I need to find more films like this.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie.
But in reality, aliens do not walk around in Kevin Spacey's body. I mean, they reserved that for Gary Busey, which kind of explains a lot. Ironically, you should see him without the alien presence.